Hi, I'm Nick Hopwood, and this is the fourth in my series of 4 videos about academic journal publishing. This one is all about peer review. So we're getting to the end of this video sequence now, and I'm just going to start the conversation around peer review, and if you're coming to the workshop, we'll go into this in much more depth. So peer review is really established as a way to maintain quality, to make sure that you can't just write anything you like. The idea is that somebody who works in your field has a look, checks it, makes some comments for improvement. Reviewers are rarely paid. Most editors aren't paid either. Some in some fields, like in medicine, will be very highly paid, but generally editors are not paid to do their editing. The idea of double blind is that the reviewer doesn't know who is written the article in the first place, and the author doesn't know who is reviewing them. I put supposedly there because often if it's an author who's written quite a lot in a particular area, it's very obvious to the reviewers who the author is. And you can also quite often figure out who the reviewers are, and if you're coming to the workshop with me, there'll be one example where that's pretty clear. There's some ethics here about peer review. If you send off a journal article and your work is reviewed by 3 people, you owe at least 3 reviews. My idea would be to do some reviews before you send something off, so that you're not in review debt as soon as you get reviewed, but rather you've got some in the bank to kind of spend on getting your work reviewed. It's really important because if you don't do as many reviews as you receive reviews, what's happening is the reviewing work is falling on fewer and fewer people's shoulders, and that's not good for our intellectual kind of health. What we need is a diversity of reviewers working in the field, and if you don't step up and do the reviews that you owe, it'll fall on the few people who do keep saying yes, and that's not good for scholarship. It's important to remember that editors make decisions, not reviewers. Reviewers can recommend decisions, and editors often don't contradict them completely, but it's the editor who makes the decision, not the reviewer. And it's important to remember that reviewers don't all get it right, and if you're coming to the workshop with me, that'll be one of the key things that we explore. Now, lots of people like to say these days that peer review is broken or falling apart. You can see increasingly there are very public errors in papers that get through the peer review process, and people blame the review process as much as they blame the authors for doing flawed research in the first place. So there are an increasing number of retractions, particularly in scientific journals. It's getting hard to find reviewers who say yes, and harder still to find reviewers who say yes and produce good reviews on time. As I mentioned, the idea of reviews being double blind is a myth, and we all know this. Often with experienced or well-published authors, people will be able to figure out who's written it. When people get to write anonymously and just send off their criticisms to the editor, academics often misbehave, and there is plenty of example of unprofessional conduct in the process of peer review that I'll show you proof of in the workshop if you're joining me in that. And it's increasingly that the predatory publishers or other outlets bypass peer review or have such a shoddy version of it that it's essentially dead in their hands. But I think peer review is proving resilient and perhaps reinventing itself. I don't think it's going to go away in the next few years. Definitely not. It's not perfect, but I strongly believe it is the best system we've got. We can improve this by having better pedagogies of peer review, teaching people not only how to review, but how to respond to reviews. There are resources from publishers. I mentioned this in video 1 about what the publishers do, and you can attend amazing workshops like the one hopefully you'll come and sit in with me soon about how to do reviews and how to receive reviews. Increasingly, journals in the sciences it's starting. It's not a huge trend yet, but some are publishing the reviews and the author's responses online, so it's making the whole process more transparent. New infrastructure is helping like that. Often authors are automatically added to reviewer databases. Now they have centralized electronic systems for managing journals. So that is assisting with peer review and some of those problems about finding reviewers. And the paths that bypass peer review are not valued as highly, if at all. So if a non-peer-reviewed journal article, for example, isn't really recognised for most academic institutions or promotion or job application purposes. Now, there are some non-peer-reviewed outputs that are important, and they're often relating to engagement and impact, but they're not rated or valued in the sense of a scholarly publication. Oh, so is this everything for now? Well, clearly not. I'm sure you will have questions. There are things that these 4 videos haven't covered. Please put your questions in the comments or visit one of my blog posts that's relevant to the issues of journal publishing and put some comments or questions there. Come to a workshop with me if it's coming up in your institution, or get in touch and see if you can arrange for me to come and give a workshop. You can tweet me at NHOPUTS. And do remember that things are changing really fast, and what's true by the time I made this video may well have changed by the time you watch it. Thanks for watching all 4 of my publications videos. I hope you found them useful and informative. Like I said at the beginning, if you do have questions, please make notes on them and bring them to the workshop if you're coming to a workshop with me soon. If not, you can put questions or comments underneath the video on YouTube, or you can visit my blog, nickhop.wordpress.com, and find a relevant post and add your comments there. You can also tweet me at NHOPUTS. I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon. Bye bye.